everybody. On behalf of the Highland Park Public Library, we'd like to welcome you to Library in Your Living Room. We are pleased to present Shelf Isolation, a weekly mini-series about what to read, watch, and play next. I'm Catherine, and this is your Information and Reader Services Department. To begin, I'm going to turn things over to Readers Roundtable expert and moderator, Michelle.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Michelle, and I just wanted to start with a reread that I've done. I reread The News of the World by Paulette Jiles. I really won't go into a lot of details because I've talked about it a lot before in Shelf Isolation. Definitely should check it out. They just made a movie with Tom Hanks, which I definitely want to see. It's a really great book. It's a really great listen, and it's a good thing. So you should definitely read that. Second, I wanted to talk about a manga series that I am in the middle of reading. It's called Natsume's Book of Friends, and it's about a boy, and he has the power to see spirits or yokai, and it's kind of brought him a lot of sadness. He had a very lonely childhood because the kids thought he was strange, and his relatives kind of didn't want anything to do with him, so he went from household to household, and from his grandmother, who could also see spirits, he inherited a book called The Book of Friends, which is literally a book of names of yokai that she bullied them into giving up their names, and they are kind of in her servitude. So he inherits this book, and all of these different spirits come after him, some good or some bad, trying to get the book itself or to get their name back so they can be free. It's really fantastic. It's kind of long, but what's really great is each chapter is kind of its own story. So you could just read one story a day, and it's a complete story, and you can read the next one. They're really nice. It's really great, and I do highly recommend it. Lastly, I'm starting a book called The Gods of Upper Air. That is by Charles King, which is actually the first book in the upcoming Julie Levin Books discussion series, which the first discussion is on February 9th. It's at 1 o'clock, it's on Zoom, and you can see the details below on how you can both register for the program and to get your hands on the book to read. And that's everything I have today. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I'm the Interlibrary Loan Coordinator in the Adult Services Room. Normally, I read about mysteries, but I have a couple interesting takes this week. One is it's called Project 333 or Project 333. Anyway, it's a book by Courtney Carver, and the whole idea is that we all have New Year's resolutions. This one's about getting your closet in shape. So according to Courtney, we could be more with less. So I'm trying it. So yesterday I took everything out of my closet, and I mean everything. And in Project 333, Courtney tells us to take a new approach to living simply, starting with our wardrobe. So the Project 333 promises that not only can you survive with just 33 items in your closet for 3 months, you have to ask the Information Reader Services Department in 3 months how I did, but also that you'll thrive like thousands of other people who have taken the challenge. So the interesting thing is the 33 items that you have in your closet, again, it's for 3 months. So that includes shoes, jewelry, your coats, and luckily that your workout gear and your unmentionables aren't counted in that, so that's a good thing. But anyway, so I went ahead and I took everything out, and my husband is so excited because I can't buy anything for 3 months. It could turn into 666 for me, but we'll find out. So that's the one New Year's resolution type thing that I'm trying, and in 3 months I'll let you know how it's going. The next book I read, which was really, really good, it was a historical fiction, and it's based on an actual true story, and it's The Paper Daughters of Chinatown by Heather Moore. And this book is based on the character, well, actually the real life woman. Her name is Donaldina Cameron. She goes by Dolly, and she worked in San Francisco's Chinatown in the late 1800s. She grew up very wealthy on a ranch in Montana with 5 other sisters. She was the youngest. They don't really mention her parents too much, but I'm assuming her dad's name was Donald. She was the last one, so they named her Donaldina. But anyway, when she turned 26, she had a friend visiting who actually worked at this Occidental Mission Home in San Francisco. And she convinced Dolly to come and teach sewing classes to the rescued Chinese girls misled when coming to the United States. What took place was really when she gets there, she realizes right away that this is going to entail more than just teaching sewing classes. The job is more complicated, and what she finds is that San Francisco has a very dark side, one where a powerful underground organization, it's basically, they're called Tongs, and they were the mafia at that time. It's 1895, so Dolly goes on these raids along with police officers and a Chinese interpreter. And what happens is other Chinese citizens come to the mission and tell them where to find a girl that wants to be rescued. And a lot of times, like, that girl will have like a red ribbon or something in her hand. And the reason why they're called paper daughters is later on in the story, she starts going to court and says that these are my daughters. And by having that legal piece of paper, they become her paper daughters. And the story, it follows Dolly along with her co-workers and some of the other girls that are rescued who eventually go on to help rescue other Chinese girls. And then it follows also another lady called Mei Lin, who she is coming to the Gold Mountain in America because she's been promised by an agent back in China. Her mother actually was promised that she would be marrying a wealthy Chinese man. Of course, when she comes, that doesn't happen. She's held captive. A lot of times they introduced opium to the girls and they ended up becoming, basically, it was prostitution and a slave type trade that took place. It was a great book. It's a very fast read. It's amazing. At the end, you get to learn a lot more about Dolly, and it throws new light on the age-old fact that human trafficking has been going on and the people who fought the evil and stuff of this. So it was a very, very good story. And then thirdly, I'm back to murder. I read the book The Hunting Game by Helen Tursten, and it's a mystery. It's perfect if you like classic crime novels. She is best known for her Irene Huss crime fiction series. So The Hunting Game introduces us to a new character. Her name's Imbla Nystrom. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. But this is the first book in the series. There's 3 books so far. So I went back and saw it because the new one kept coming across my desk and it looks really, really good. So The Hunting Game is it's very moody, atmospheric. It has a very even pace. And what it's about is the main character, Imbla, takes time off because every year she goes and does a moose hunt with her family and some friends. And she takes the week off, and it kind of tells the story of where, like, this group, they've been doing it, some of the men are well in their 70s and 80s. So they've been doing it their whole life since they were young men, young children, actually. And they go, and the one guy is in charge of, there's 2 hunting parties, Imbla's group and another group that's very wealthy hunters, but they all share this one area. They get together, they plot out what stands they're going to, how many things that they could hunt and everything. So anyway, what happens is there's an extra person this year. And this one guy who doesn't like the new person says 13 is a bad number. So the story then just sort of plots along with the hunt going on, but weird things start happening, like somebody is, a snake is in the outhouse and somebody is bitten by the snake. Then that person has to go off. Then there's a fox caught in a trap, an old trap, by another person's hunting stand. And then from the area where it's the really wealthy hunters, 2 of them disappear in the middle of the night. So that kind of sets things in the pace going, and then it ends up that Embla is part of a detective unit where they come in and they help out local law enforcement. So they come in and so her two co-workers come in and then they start trying to solve what's going on. And it was really fast paced, read it in a day, probably less than a day. And really the character, she's very interesting because she has these horrible nightmares, and you know that something's happened in her past, but you don't really know what it is. And you find out a little bit of bits and pieces. So I do recommend it. The characters are very, very well defined, and you can just really picture the whole moose hunt and everything. And I look forward to reading the next one. And it's an excellent series. If you like Helen Grace series, I think that you will really enjoy this. Thank you.
Okay, hi, I'm Karen. I'm one of the librarians in the department, and I'd like to talk about a book and a TV series tonight. And the book is called Babylon Berlin. The author is Volker Kutsche, and the TV series is the same name. The book is actually the first in a series. The successive books have different names. Anyhow, it's been a few weeks since I finished this. I had it on hold as an ebook, and it finally came in December for me. So I was waiting on the list for months. So anyway, it was recommended by a patron who I spoke with this summer. So it's what you might call a historical crime novel or a historical police procedural. It's set in Berlin, Germany in 1929. The main character is a young detective inspector who has been transferred to the Berlin department from another city. And there's some incident in his work history that has been the reason for his transfer. It's never really completely explained. So I guess I have to keep reading the books and maybe I'll find out more. But I suspect it was some sort of a accident. But anyway, the plot of the book was very easy to get into. It's pretty complex. It had a lot of twists and turns like any good mystery, but I liked it and I thought it was a satisfying story, but I wouldn't say after finishing it that I was hooked. I read a few other books, and then it was announced that we'd have another episode to tape, and I thought I better look over what I've been doing. And I remembered this book had been made into a TV series, so I thought I would look up the DVDs, and it is. The library has it. I have season 1 right here, and I looked it up online, and I found out it was a very popular TV series in Germany, and it started out in 2017. So I watched about a half hour last night just for the sake of research, in reviewing this. I thought better see what it's like. And now I think I am hooked. As soon as we finish this, I'm going to put that DVD back in the computer and watch another bit of it. I think it's really well done. It's very period, atmospheric, a lot of nice costumes, and it's different from the book, just enough so that I'm having to really pay attention. Who is that character? I don't think that was in the book. This doesn't happen then, it happened later. It's kind of been changed around, but it always happens. So anyhow, let's see. Oh, this is the regular book. We have the paperback, and I had no idea it was 500 pages long. The ebook concealed that from me. I just kept reading and didn't know how far I was getting, or didn't know how many pages I was reading. And the nice thing about the ebook was you could put this book down and maybe pick it up 2 days later. You can't remember who this character is. Well, you just do a search and you can find out when the character first was introduced. You think, oh, sure, that's who that is, the rookie or whoever it was. So that was really handy. But I find when I finish an ebook, it's really gone. If I've returned it, I can't look anything up. So I got the paper copy out just to kind of refresh my memory. So anyhow, I also went to the Wikipedia page for the author, and I found out that there are 8 volumes in the series. I think 5 so far have been translated into English, but the 8th came out in Germany a few months ago. And also on this Wikipedia page, there was a really interesting map somebody has put together with like a layer for every book. You can, they're color-coded pins on this map of Berlin, and you can pick the book and it will show you, let's say, green pins for the first book, all these locations where things took place. And I like that. I don't know, I don't know if it would be for everybody, but I kind of like knowing how far away something is from the scene of the crime or that kind of thing. So it would make a lot more sense after you read the books, I think. But it was interesting. I could kind of scroll around and land on a pin, and I would be reminded of a scene, because this pin, for example, was the place where the character rented a room, and there was a funny incident there. It was nice. And then you could click on the pins and you could see more, some scenes, some pictures of that time, some real pictures of Berlin, some photographs. So anyway, I recommend these. I don't know if this will be something I keep reading, but I at least want to finish the season 1 of the DVD. So thanks a lot.
Hi, it's Catherine again. The first book I'm going to share is called Summerwater by Sarah Moss, which just came out. It's set in Scotland in a holiday park where various families are staying in cabins on a loch, where there's no cell service, and it's summer, but it's raining a lot, even for Scotland. And what we get are sort of chapters in stream of consciousness, but from various characters' point of view. And we only get each character once. So you sort of go from person to person and get their interior thoughts. There's even a couple animals thrown in there. And as we go along, very subtly, we start to feel that something isn't right. And that feeling just kind of builds and builds. And in the end, it did not end how I thought it would. And that was probably the point. But this is a really good book if you like creepy, but not horror. And it's not too long. It's only about 200 pages, so it's a pretty quick read. And I found it enjoyable. And the second book I'm going to share is Deacon King Kong by James McBride, which came out last year. This is a comic farce of a crime novel. It's set in a New York City housing project in the 1960s. And the main character is an old man named Cuffy, who everyone knows as Sport Coat. And he mostly goes around drunk and having conversations with his dead wife. And one day, for no discernible reason, he goes outside with a gun and shoots the ear off a local drug dealer, and then claims to have no memory of it. So there is a certain amount of unpopularity that results for Sport Coat from this action. But Sport Coat is also a core member of the community. He's the Deacon King Kong of the title. Deacon because he's a deacon in his church. King Kong because he's fond of rot gut liquor named King Kong that his friend Hot Sausage makes in the basement. And McBride gets a lot of mileage off of Sport Coat and Hot Sausage just riffing off each other for pages and pages. So that part is a lot of fun. So because of all these events, mostly the shooting, some people are out to get Sport Coat, but he is really focused on getting the local baseball game started again. And he really needs his star pitcher, who happens to be the drug dealer whose ear he shot off. And there's a lot of other characters in this novel, not just these two, but really too many to even try to summarize here. It's a hilarious book. It's heartwarming. The only caveat I would say is it does have a lot of profanity because, there are some hardened gangsters in here. And, I guess that's the kind of language that they use. So it's probably not one to listen to if you have small children in the car who are going to repeat all of this. And, then you'll have to make excuses at their school or whatever. But really a fun book. I liked it, and it's an uplifting book that's, not flimsy or too stupid. It's fun, but not stupid. That's how I would summarize it. And those are my two books for this week.
Hi, I'm Laurie. I also am a librarian in the Information and Reader Services Department. And this past week, I also have two books. One is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and it is kind of a time travel, alternate life type story that kind of resonated with me because sometimes I think, well, what if I had done, this instead of that, or, whatever, made a different decision at a different point in my life. So the main character, a young woman, has had a very, very bad day after a great many bad days. And she decides that basically she does not want to live anymore. But instead of dying, she finds herself in the Midnight Library, which is run by a librarian from her middle school who was always very kind to her, who introduces her to the concept that she could experience the other lives that she may have won. Say, for example, if she had, kept up with her competitive swimming, or continued on fronting as the lead singer in her brother's band, that kind of thing. So she experiences all these different lives, and comes to terms with a lot of things, and decides, well, I'm not going to tell you what she decides, but it was a really thought-provoking book, a good book. It didn't take me very long to read it, but it was quite good. It kind of reminded me like Kate Atkinson's Life After Life, but a bit different, because I don't believe Kate Atkinson had this idea that you actually, in between lives, she goes back in this book, the main character, and I'm not saying her name because I've forgotten it. The main character goes back to the Midnight Library and talks to the librarian some more. So it's different than the Kate Atkinson book, but similar in that it's kind of, an exploration of how you can't really know what will happen because of anything. It's not a given that if you had done a different career or whatever, that your life would have been happier. Anyway, so that was a book that I enjoyed. And the other book that I read is called The Duke and I by Julia Quinn. Julia Quinn has written a series that has been made into a Netflix series called Bridgerton. And this is like a prequel to the Bridgerton series. And it's a romance. It's a romance novel, and it takes place in Regency, England, I guess. Like, I don't know what exactly era it is, but pre-modern England, like in the 1800s. And everyone's very well mannered, and women and men, and lots of machinations to marry the right person and that kind of thing. So it's pretty good. It was a fun read. And then I did watch a couple of episodes of Bridgerton, and I noticed that in one of the episodes of Bridgerton, I watched a young maiden gets to haul off and punch some young man in the face. And that's also something that happened in my book that I read. So I kind of want to know, I want to read some more of these books to find out if this is something that happens in all of the Bridgerton books. Anyway, so I recommend both of these. The Bridgerton books, a lot of them are on Hoopla, so you can stream them as ebooks or e-audiobooks, but there are a lot of them. So that is, that it's kind of an escapist type thing. And the series, the TV series is good if you have Netflix, and Julie Andrews is the narrator. So she does not sound like Mary Poppins anymore, but it was quite a good escapist thing, and I enjoyed that. And so now I'm done, and that's it for me.
Hello. This week, the country honored Martin Luther King, civil rights activist. You may have noticed this 2 years ago during the city's sesquicentennial, an outdoor exhibit piece in front of the Temple Malkel Soleil Lakeside. And there it is, the actual puzzle piece that we had out in an outdoor exhibit. And the Reverend King, in fact, visited the temple as part of his Fair Housing Project tour in the summer of 1966. He was a guest of the North Shore Fellowship of Rabbis, and it was well attended there. This image is courtesy of the Highland Park Police. They were there, of course, for safety reasons, and they took this picture, which could be an interesting object of research of how that came to be. In any case, in the city's early years, the city of Highland Park, Illinois, development leaders were openly anti-discrimination in the tradition of 18th century Enlightenment philosophies. In fact, one 1901 editorial proclaimed, "Let the Hebrews come," in response to questions from some anti-Semitic folks that said, "Why do you want Jews buy real estate here?" Now, however, these philosophies were not codified in the municipal code. And as the town grew both geographically and in population, many new developments added restrictive covenants and actively practiced discrimination, as did some landlords and sellers. Both this and contrary actions are documented in our collections, including some ephemera of publicity for housing and other Mayor Lawton's correspondence, newspapers, etc. Now, interestingly, the North Shore Summer Project, I'm going to briefly open up the catalog. These records are housed at the University of Illinois Chicago Archives. In the North Shore Summer Project was a group in the North Shore of several housing organizations, Americans Friends Committee, and other religious organizations, the Human Relations Commission of Highland Park, and they in fact had their headquarters at least 1 year on Central Avenue in Highland Park, and working towards addressing these issues that Dr. King was making his central project at the time. So at the end of December 1967, the Highland Park City Council passed an open housing ordinance with only one opposing vote from the future mayor, Geraci. And the Tribune called it one of the most stringent open housing ordinances in the state of Illinois. Now, keep in mind that the Civil Rights Act of 68 and the Fair Housing Act of 68, which was part of it, were in no means assured of passage at the time. So this was quite an important move by the city of Highland Park, and it was the first, as far as we know, on the North Shore to do this. So, and again, collections and newspapers and other items in our collections document these events. I also wanted to share another way you can research the Civil Rights Library, which is similar to the Digital Library of America, but is exclusively civil rights, was a tool and is full of primary documentation that I used in my research, in fact, partially for this exhibit 2 years ago. And you can do also reach and see, in fact, there's a letter from some Highland Park residents in support of Dr. Luther King that I sent to him from the Pasquesi family. So thank you very much. I hope you'll use our resources. Anyone in the library can help you or direct you to the right repository where you can find the items that will help your research into these issues. Thank you.
I think maybe it's my turn now. Sorry, I'm late. So, but I didn't want to miss it. So my apologies. So for this week, it's been kind of light for me with my hectic life. But I did start not reading. I'm listening to a book that I've been waiting for a long time, and I was super, super excited when I got it. And that would be by the name of Ready Player 2. So Ready Player 2 is a sequel to Ready Player 1. Very imaginative title, but whatever. It's Ready Player 2. I loved Ready Player 1. I had a great time with it, and I listened to that also. And it is read by Will Wheaton from Star Wars fame, for all you Star Trek nerds. Or no, Star Wars or Star Trek? Sorry. One of those. I think Star Trek. And it is written by Ernest Cline. So I just started Ready Player 2 on audio, and so far it takes place a little bit after the end of part 1, which I don't want to ruin the end of anything, but if you haven't read Ready Player 1, please go out and read it or listen to it. I think it's fantastic. Even still, Steven Spielberg made it into a movie, so you know it's good. It's got to be good, right? And this one takes place a little bit after the end of part 1, and the main character Wade Watts, I guess, uncovers another secret in a video game world called the Oasis, and it's like an even better. It's the Oasis is something like a 3D virtual reality type game, and he, I guess, discovered that the founder of the Oasis created a new oasis that's supposed to be even better. I don't know, but I'm really excited, and it's just one of those where I just want to listen to it straight through. I'm in the mood to listen to it, so I'm very happy I got it. That's what I've been doing, and then also I've been playing games. I mean, a little bit, not that much. I don't have it in front of me, but I've been playing a game on the Nintendo Switch, actually, that just came out recently. It's called Immortals Phoenix Rising, and it is also on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and the Series X. And it is like kind of like a how do you say, like mythology. It deals with Greek mythology. So me being Greek, I mean, that's all you got to say, Greek mythology, and I'm all over it. And it is like a very like an action type game, and it's third person, like a top down type game, and it just kind of reminds me of, for anybody who's played like God of War, just kind of that feel. And it deals with all these Greek gods and Greek mythology. So, I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, I think this one's for you. I was pleasantly surprised because I thought it wasn't going to be that good, but in me, like I've said before, I'm a frugal person. I did find the game on sale for, I want to say, about $20, but you can't beat the price at the library, which is free. And we do own a copy. And we do own a copy of Ready Player 2. So that's what I've been doing this week. And with that, usually I go after Stephanie, so I don't know what to do at this point, but I'll give it over to Michelle, is it? Catherine. So I'm going to give it to Catherine. Take it away.
That's it for today, folks. As always, please remember that we are all here for you. We are available for comments, questions, or concerns that you may have. Visit our website at hplibrary.org to find the various ways to contact us. Because the library's hours and services can change suddenly due to COVID, it's best to contact us by email or chat on our website before coming to the library. Our music today was Carefree by Kevin MacLeod. You can find more information about this and the titles we mentioned in our show notes below. Okay, everybody, this is us signing off. Until we see you next, stay safe.